it's Louisa Jewell here, and welcome to the Science of the Good Life, helping you be happier, stronger, and more successful. So in my last few video blogs, I talked about how 2015 was really the most challenging year of my life. So at the end of 2014, my husband and I split up after 19 years of marriage. But then shortly after that, my 88-year-old mother decided to stop eating. And I saw her deteriorate over the months, and sadly, last summer, she passed away. So that was very sad. 6 weeks after that, my dear, dear father-in-law, who had been suffering with Parkinson's for 4 years, passed away. So it was, beyond that, there were a few other things that happened, but it was a year of sadness and loss and a little bit of frustration. And people always say to me, how did you get through the year? Now, one of the tips and this is really something that I have been practicing now for 10 years, is something that I do regularly, and that is I practice self-compassion. This is something, again, that I've been doing for so long, and the reason why it is important for you to start practicing self-compassion now is because when you go through dark times, when you are disappointed, when you are facing the biggest failure of your life, guess what? It's self-compassion that is going to help you get through things like that. And the thing is that when you've been practicing it for 10 years, self-compassion becomes your default. You don't default into beating yourself up or saying, why me, or any of that stuff. You just default effortlessly into taking care of yourself, saying kind things to yourself, and just being compassionate towards yourself. So I've talked about this in past video blogs, but I want to remind you of the 3 elements, the 3 steps in self-compassion. And the first one is to be mindful of your own suffering. When you're going through that, when I was going through this horrible year, I would say to myself, wow, this is hard. This is really hard. To see my mother go through what she went through. This is really hard stuff, Louisa. Take care of yourself. Take time for yourself. You deserve to take time for yourself. And so that's the first step. The second step is to say kind things to yourself. Be your own best friend. So I would say things. I remember I would finish my yoga practice just like this with my hands on my heart, and quietly to myself I would say, Louisa, today was a really hard day and you got through it. Or, your daughter was very angry. She was very frustrated, and you were very patient with her. You really helped her through that. Good for you. You're a good mom. I just would say little things like this to myself to be my own best friend. I would imagine that my best friend was sitting beside me and had observed my entire day and was giving me her wonderful, encouraging feedback on how my day went. And then the third practice of self-compassion is to understand that what you're going through is the human experience. It did kind of comfort me to think, there are millions of amazing, wonderful, intelligent, beautiful women that get a divorce, and there's, lots of people who suffer through the loss of a parent or several parents, in a year. And there are lots of people who suffer through even greater things than that. That I'm, sometimes I think to myself, I'm glad it wasn't anything worse, right? I'm grateful. Could have been worse, right? So I think when we understand that this is what life brings us brings us good and life brings us bad. And when we can just accept that this is life, I think that it makes life a lot easier to bear. So if you are the type of person who is beating yourself up every day, who says horrible things to yourself every day when you have a disappointment or a failure, stop today and decide that you will be your own best friend. Because guess what? You can choose to have either your worst enemy or your best friend following you around all day, saying either horrible things or saying wonderful things to you all day long. You can make that choice. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.